Hello and welcome to our presentation of our behavior change replication. My name is Sarah Martinez, and along with my partner Diana Dickinson, we will be discussing the effects of token economy reinforcement on physical activity. During this presentation, we will be going over the specifics of the study we have chosen and what the results, conclusions, and limitations of our replication study are. Center for Disease Control defines physical activity as any skeletal muscle movement that results in energy expenditure. It is important to maintain consistent physical activity in your life in order to prevent many health issues. According to the World Health Organization, physical inactivity is the fourth leading risk factor for mortality and is also associated with many health risk factors such as heart disease, high blood pressure, depression, and certain types of cancer. Leading a sedentary life is harmful to your health, both physically and mentally. The study was conducted by Heron in 2010 to measure the effects of moderate exercise on anxiety levels with patients with chronic diseases. All patients in this study were capable of moderate exercise despite their differing chronic conditions. The results of this study show that all patients showed a reduction in anxiety levels with implementation of a consistent moderate exercise routine. This study could have implications for other populations such as college students, those with high stress careers, and parents. Another study conducted in 2019 by Niemann and Wetz discussed exercise immunology and the effects of exercise on the immune system. They stated that the studies showed that those who engage in consistent physical activity have been shown to have an increase in immune cell counts with increased functionality. According to a study conducted by Vina, moderate doses of physical activity causes very profound relaxing effects on the majority of the population. This benefits anyone who lives in a high-stress lifestyle, such as college students or those with high-pressure jobs. Taking time every day to engage in physical activity can promote relaxation and ease stress, which is beneficial to mental health. In another study conducted by Cole in 2012, data shows that 31% of the world's population is not meeting the minimum physical activity recommendations set by the CDC. And in 2009, the prevalence of inactivity was 17%. In 2015, a study was created to demonstrate the effectiveness of token economy with school-age children with ASD, and how the token economy became more effective than the primary reinforcement. Which brings us to the current study we are replicating. In 2019, Patel, Norman, and Kahn conducted a study on preschool-age children to study the effects of reinforcement on increasing physical activity. A token economy system was used to incentivize the children to engage in mild to moderate physical activity in a playground setting. Their results showed that the token economy was effective at increasing the instances of moderate and mild physical activity. This study has a large implication for motivating other populations to engage in physical activity. If an individual is motivated with preferred tangibles, will they engage in physical activity more frequently? In the replication study, there are two participants. Participant 1, Diana, who lives in Southern California, age 33, is an online grad student and works as an RBT. Participant 2 is Sarah. She lives in Northern California, age 35, is also an online grad student and works as a behavior specialist 1. In the original study, there were 4 participants who were all preschool aged, had no disabilities, and was observed in the same physical setting. For our replication study, we have 2 participants in their 30s who are not in the same physical location and who are both grad students. In the original study, all participants were observed at an elementary school playground where it was unoccupied during sessions. In the replication study, the settings were different. They were conducted in the home, in the gym, or in a natural setting. Materials used in the study included a cell phone with a camera to video record all sessions, a computer with internet access, email accounts, and YouTube, as well as a timer, gym equipment, and behavior recording form. A token economy board, 4 boxes containing tangibles, reinforcing tangibles such as candy bars, snacks, coupons for 15-minute breaks, and Starbucks. For our replication study, we used a physical activity recording form, which consists of the behavior, physical activity, as well as our data collection method. We recorded in whole intervals using 1-minute intervals during a 30-minute session. Behavior is marked as present when it is observed throughout the entire interval. The token board consists of 4 sections, each a different color corresponding to a box of the same color containing different levels of preferred tangibles. The first section was white and contained 6 empty slots for tokens. The second section was red and contained 8 empty slots for tokens. The third section was yellow and contained 10 empty slots for tokens. The last slot was green and contained 5 empty slots for tokens. If a participant received 1 to 6 tokens, they were able to pick 1 prize from a white box containing small tangibles. If a participant received 7 to 14 tokens, they were able to pick 1 prize from the white box and 1 prize from the red box. Red boxes also contain small tangibles. If a participant received 15 to 24 tokens, they were able to pick 1 tangible from the white box, 1 tangible from the red box, and 1 tangible from the yellow box. The yellow box had bigger tangibles. If a participant earned 25 to 30 tokens, they were able to pick 1 tangible from every box. The last box, green, contains the biggest, most desired tangible. The behavioral definition for moderate to vigorous physical activities is defined as moving legs, arms, or torso for a period of more than 5 seconds. Examples include performing sit-ups, jumping jacks, or walking. 1 foot on ground, moving the other foot in front and placing it on the ground while lifting the other foot. Non-examples include sitting with no movement, buttocks touching a surface with the body's weight resting on it, and all limbs are still.
In the original study, observers were able to record data in live time as they observed the participants in the study. They were able to record whether they saw an occurrence of the behavior or a non-occurrence of behavior in the current interval as it happened. However, since we were both the observers and the participants in our study, we were unable to collect data this way. In order to collect accurate data on ourselves, we recorded every one of our 30-minute sessions using either a computer with a camera or a cell phone. Once this session was completed, we then watched our videos back of ourselves, and using the behavior recording form, we would mark either an occurrence or a non-occurrence of moderate to vigorous physical activity using whole interval recording with 1-minute intervals. This data was added to Excel and graphed once we were done. Our study used a multiple baseline across participants design with a combined reversal and multi-element design. Our sessions were all 30 minutes in length. The phase changes were made when data was stable, except because of time constraints, there were a couple times when we had to move on to a new phase before data was as stable as we would like it. This study was conducted in a natural environment, either in our home or a gym. The participants in this study observed and rewarded themselves. We were both the participants and the observers in this study, and we reinforced ourselves with tokens on the token board and the tangibles based on that token board. The phases included in this study were a baseline phase, a treatment non-contingent token phase, and a treatment contingent token phase. During our baseline phase, we recorded ourselves during 30-minute sessions. We did these sessions at any location of our choosing, either in our home, going about our day-to-day lives, or in a gym. Once those sessions were finished, we would then watch back the recording of ourselves. We would use the behavior recording form to mark any occurrences of moderate to vigorous physical activity during 1-minute intervals. We would mark yes if the behavior occurred during the whole 1-minute interval, and we would mark no if the behavior did not occur during the entire 1-minute interval. Once this was done, we would calculate the percentage of intervals that the behavior occurred, and we would then go ahead and input this into Excel to be graphed at a later time. During this phase, there was no reinforcements, no tokens. We did not use the token board. No tangibles were collected. During the contingent token treatment phase, we recorded ourselves during the 30-minute sessions at the location of our choice, either home or gym, just like we did during the baseline phase. After this session, we would watch back the recording of ourselves. We would use the behavior recording form to mark any occurrences or non-occurrences of moderate to vigorous physical activity during 1-minute whole intervals. Once this was marked on the behavior recording form, we would then take our token board and award ourselves our tokens based on the number of intervals that the behavior was witnessed during. Once we had our token boards all marked, we would then award ourselves with the appropriate tangibles in the boxes that coincided with the tokens that we received on the token board. Once this was completed, we would record the percentage of intervals that the behavior occurred in, and we would log that into our Excel data chart. During the non-contingent token treatment phase, we recorded ourselves for 30-minute sessions at the location of our choice, either home or in the gym. Much like the previous two phases, once that session was finished, we would watch the recording of ourselves. We would use the behavior recording form to mark any occurrences or non-occurrences of the moderate to vigorous physical activity during the 1-minute intervals. However, during this phase, we did not award ourselves tokens based on the intervals that were recorded for this phase. Tokens were awarded based on the intervals recorded from the last contingent token phase, despite what intervals moderate to vigorous physical activity was recorded during this non-contingent token treatment phase. Once this was done, we awarded ourselves the tangibles based on the token board. Once we had our reinforcements, we calculated the percentage of intervals that the behavior occurred in this non-contingent token treatment phase. This data was then logged into our Excel data charts. IOA was calculated using an interval by interval method for calculations. To do this, we divided the number of agreed upon intervals by the total number of intervals and multiplied it by 100. This gave us our percentage of IOA. In the original study, they had multiple observers observe the same sessions, and then they also use an interval by interval calculation method to calculate their percentage of IOA. For us, since we were not physically in the same place, we shared our videos of our sessions that we recorded. We uploaded them to YouTube, and then we were able to watch each other's videos in order to calculate for IOA. Sessions were chosen at random for IOA calculations. We calculated IOA for 40% of our baseline sessions, 22% of our contingent token treatment sessions, and 16% of our non-contingent token treatment sessions. Our mean IOA calculations came out to be 99% for baseline phase, 100% for the contingent token treatment phase, and 97% for the non-contingent token treatment phase. Treatment integrity was established by video recording each of our sessions. These videos were shared between us, between the participants, by using YouTube. We uploaded our videos of our sessions to YouTube and shared the links with each other. IOA was calculated randomly using these videos on YouTube to ensure agreement in the behavior definition and integrity of the study. Our data was charted and graphed using Excel, and these charts and graphs were then shared between participants to hold each other accountable for accurate data and to ensure integrity for our study. The results of this study showed that each participant had very different results. Stable data was not achieved in every phase for both of the participants. Participant 1 showed an increase in the contingent token interventions, but not in the non-contingent token sessions. Participant 2 showed no increase in behavior during the interventions and actually showed drops in behavior during both intervention phases. We would have expected to see an increase in the behavior during the contingent token phases. However, that was not seen in all of the participants. These are the results for participant 1. As we can see, there were at least 3 sessions conducted for each phase. Ideally, we would have liked to have more stable data before moving on to a new phase. However, because of time constraints, we were just not able to do that. We can see here that we did have stability in baseline. The level was low. And when we moved into the intervention contingent token session, there was an immediate change of high magnitude as the level went to high. However, there was a lot of variability in the data, and a trend wasn't really visible. As soon as we moved to the intervention non-contingent token phase, there was another change of high magnitude as the level dropped low to just above baseline. Once again, we would have liked to see more stable data as the data is variable in this phase. We just were not able to take the time. When we move to the next phase, the intervention contingent token phase, again, there's another change of high magnitude as the level goes to high. Again, there's some variability in the data and a trend wasn't really able to be established. When we go to the intervention non-contingent token phase, again, the level drops again, another change of high magnitude as the level drops down again to low with some variability, and no trend was really able to be established. Here are the results for participant 2. As we can see here, there are at least 3 data points for every phase. Baseline, the level was high. The point of this study was to increase behavior. However, participant 2 started with a pretty high level already. there is no trend, but there is some stability in the data. There is no change in the level as we move to the intervention contingent token session, and there's a slight downward trend in this session. When we move to the intervention non-contingent token session, there is a change of high magnitude as it drops low. This session does show an increased trend. And as we move from this non-contingent token session to the contingent token session, there is no immediate change. However, in this contingent token intervention session, there is a downward trend. As we move over again to the intervention non-contingent token session, there's a slight change in the level as it is a little higher than the contingent token session, and there is an upward trend in this session. Data is not as variable for participant 2 as it was for participant 1. However, we did not see great increase in behavior from baseline. Here we can see participant 1 and participants 2 graphs together. We can see that they differ greatly in their results. The participant on the bottom, Diana, had a lot of variability in data. However, there was a change in level for the behavior from baseline. Participant Sarah on top here, she did not have much change from baseline, and in fact, her data even gets lower, which means the behavior occurred less often during intervention, both non-contingent token intervention and contingent token interventions. They occurred less often than in her baseline. The purpose of this study was to see if the use of a token economy system would increase the occurrence of moderate to vigorous physical activity. The results of the participants varied in our study. Half the participants showed no increase from baseline, and half showed an increase in baseline only in the contingent token intervention phases. Although participant 1 showed a change of high magnitude in the contingent token intervention phases, participant 2 did not show those same results. And being that that is 50% of our participants, we cannot say that this intervention was effective for the group. There was a relationship that was able to be established between the independent variable and the dependent variable in participant 1. However, that same relationship was not seen in participant 2, as she showed no increase from baseline, and she even showed a lower occurrence of the behavior in the treatment sessions than from baseline. So overall, there was no relationship that can be concluded for this group between the dependent variable and the independent variable, so we cannot say that this intervention was effective for our group. This study had limitations that could have led to our results and the fact that the intervention was not successful for us. One of the limitations we experienced was a short time period. We only had 12 days and we had to do multiple sessions per day. One of the big factors was just life getting in our way. We experienced family emergencies, illnesses. Our work and kids made it very hard for us to complete multiple 30-minute sessions per day while recording ourselves. Communication was a limitation that we experienced as well. We live in different locations, which made it difficult. In the original study, all the children were on the same playground and observers were able to watch them. right there in person. For us, we had to coordinate this living in different places, videotaping ourselves and sending each other videotapes, trying to communicate with each other through Messenger, through email, all while having different work and family schedules. This was a big issue that we dealt with during this study. I think the biggest limitation that we encountered was the fact that we were performing dual roles. In the original study, the participants were only participants and they were being rewarded for their physical activity by somebody else who was observing them. However, we were both the participant and the observer, and I feel that that skewed our results. For example, in the non-contingent token phase, I was not motivated to perform moderate to vigorous physical activity because I understood the study and I knew what was happening. I knew that no matter how I performed during that session, I was going to be rewarded based on my previous contingent token session. So I already knew I was going to get 4 rewards. That left me no motivation to perform the physical activity during those sessions, which is why my graph showed a decline in the behavior during those sessions. That is the biggest limitation that we faced during this study was the dual roles, because we were reinforcing ourselves and we knew when we were going to be reinforced and when we were not going to be reinforced. These are our references.